Welcome back, everyone, to DBDLeague. We got an overdose of matches today, and not only in a virtual reality. In theory and in Praxis, these two teams are extremely exciting to watch here, and we hand out another ticket for the playoffs. Invictus just took it in an absolute fight with a 3-0 against 3-2 against Umbrella, and now we will see if Praxis or Elysium are one step ahead here. And with me is none other than the wonderful HeatherLara. Warm welcome. How are you today?
I'm great, thank you. Thank you for asking. Thank you for the warm welcome as always. You're too kind. We have Wraith here on Temple of Purgation. We already have a down, didn't quite make it to Shack Pallet. That is Overdose going on the hook already. A very strong start for Xeno on the Wraith hit.
Absolute great start indeed. Wraith can struggle sometimes, so it's always good when you get going as early as possible. And we do see the Scorch Hook Pain Resonance coming in as well, so a little bit of a deduction on the generators already. Taking a little bit of care of the generators nearby, some housekeeping on the Temple of Purgation here. And now is the interesting question for us: how far will we move away from the hooked survivor? How aggressive do we want to play this year? And it seems like Xeno is feeling fairly confident, watching a wider range around the temple here, even going fully behind the main building. So I think Elysium is ready for a fight.
Found another survivor over here. Will he get a hit this early? He will. Gonna try and make it to a pallet. I can see the generator spread that he's got here is quite good. Like at the top of the map over there, he has quite a lot of gens that are close by, but looks like Zarka has got a lot of progress. We've got the unhook already coming in. Wondering if Xeno is gonna be able to get that down on the chase he just started, or if he's leaving and trying to go find his tunnel out. Finds V1 here, gets the injury, but it looks like he's going to go and see if he can defend a little bit more of his gens over here, or if he can find Overdose and really get that tunnel out.
Yeah, Xeno working on it, you could say. Definitely also removing some pallets here that will come in handy later on. There he is, Overdose, fighting and running to prevent the second stage. A little bit overpeaking, and Overdose is going down because Xeno knows the map structure a little bit better than his opponent with a cheeky M1 right over the stone wall there. That's unfortunate for Overdose and the entire team Praxis there, and that's exactly what Xeno is pushing for. 60 seconds roughly away from the elimination here. Great work by Xeno, and already finding more survivors just close by.
That just shows you how important it is to know your maps, and I think it's just so interesting, especially because of the way the maps have been picked for this specific tournament, how like some people like might not even know about spots like that because this isn't the like usual map that Wraith might play on. And that was just such an exciting moment. It's done so much for Xeno and his team, and we see so much pressure here now for the survivors to see if they can misses the swing. That is unfortunate, but it does look like he's still might be going for the sellout here. I do not blame him at all. He's got to wait out the 15-second endurance. Still has a little bit left to go. He's going to drop this pallet, try and get some distance, but his endurance is going to run out. It's a double pallet. He has time to work with. Cloaked already, coming back out of Cloak, zoning him to the wrong side, to the right side. Bad for Overdose. It looks like he might not make it to this pallet, and there is the tunnel out. Another gen does pop for it, but it's going to become a 3v1 situation for Xeno already, and that is absolutely huge for his team, for him and his team.
Yeah, interesting to see that Praxis is not opting to go for any pallet saves, not throwing in bodies, and like the message they send with that is basically, it's okay that we lose this survivor right now. We feel confident in our coordination across the generators. We feel confident that we can get more objectives out of the way. So really interesting to see that. I don't think that worked. We won. Nice attempt though, but unfortunately the Wraith was too close and saw this little cheeky attempt there. So we won going down. That's going to be the next fresh hook here for our killer. We have 50% on Zarka's generator. We saw another generator earlier with roughly a third of progress, but with 3 generators still to go. We definitely have a tall task ahead of us. And the difficulty in a 3v1 scenario is when you have 1 survivor hooked and 1 survivor is needed for the rescue, the 3rd survivor can be in the chase with the killer. And in that very moment, you lose gen progress and efficiency entirely. So Team Praxis needs to make sure that they either do not get found immediately now, or that they have longer mid-game chases in order to make up for the loss of their teammate. And yeah, we'll have to see how this chase goes here. Marcos has a lot of responsibility.
Yeah, I mean, if anyone can give long chases, it's definitely Praxis. We saw them already and literally put up such a fight. It was such a fun watch. I really believe that, you know, it's possible, but he is leaving this and looking like he's going to see if he can cut the rotation off because they know someone is going to be going for this unhook. But doesn't see anyone around. Doesn't see anyone around. Just, I think, going to try and make him go second stage. He wants those stages. Makes a lot of sense. Will there be any gen pressure happening in the meantime, though? There he is. V1's gone to second stage. Now it's time to go back, see if he can find anyone stealthing around, see if he can get any regression on the gen, see if he can put some pressure on. But it's looking really, really good for Xeno right now. I mean, even though it is a 3v1 situation, that doesn't mean that they can't pop any more gens. You know, that there's still a lot of time to make this win con like more reachable, you know?
I wholeheartedly agree with you, and the win condition is also something that starts to kick in the survivor heads, because a little bit of juicing here on the edge map, but this can already be important towards the end, right? 5 to 7 seconds extra time also equals the chance to get away from the Wraith, reposition across a few generators, maybe grinding for the final generator later on and sacrifice yourself. But talking about the win condition again, it is really important that you get the objectives out of the way, especially against a more weak killer like the Wraith. Even though we need to consider that with our balancing and the maps assigned to him by the rule committee, he is usually turning out really, really strong here. We won going down in the corner. That also leads to a little bit of a time waste for Xeno here. So we do see the pickup in the distance. Marcos back on the feed, but the unfortunate news for all the Praxis fans is that V1 is also leaving the trial. That means we have 2 survivors, but it would be so crucial to get at least generator number 4 out of the way, so your killer in the upcoming trial can play around a 3-gen setup to achieve a tie. And Xeno's angry at this pallet.
Yeah, I mean, it's really bad, like a 2v1 situation here, but it's not possible for them to pop another gen. This one's like pretty high progress. We did also see V1 die on a Scourge hook, and that was a pain res that came in, so that's even more detrimental to Praxis right now. But if Zaka can have a really good chase right now, there is no reason why Marcos isn't able to get a gen done here. I mean, we've seen Zaka do it before. He could definitely do it again. This is very like a M1 chase set. So when you see strong survivors like this, obviously, you know, when you load in to like a Wraith game in pubs, you think, oh, you know, kind of harmless, right? But it's not the case when you watch it in comp. They know what they're doing when they're playing the Wraith. Okay, he can be so strong, he can be so scary. Zaka still hasn't been injured yet, throwing the pallet down. This is a crazy, crazy chase from Zaka. He's got so much to work with, so many resources. I'm hearing dinging in my ears for the next 2 weeks, I think, but still going strong in this chase.
Yeah, Xeno suiting the weekend, giving us a little bit of church vibes here with all the bell ringing that we see. Zaka going to take the vault here. That leads into the injury though, and Marcos probably grinding a generator. Our killer realizes that as well, leaving Zaka injured. We have 25 to 30% in the distance on a generator, but as we pointed out, ladies and gentlemen, this 4th generator allows your killer in the next trial to play around a 3-gen, and then you can secure the tie with a 4K1, and you can say, okay, let's take this set back. At least we have a chance. Playing for yeah, 4K with 2 generators still standing, and only achieving a tie through that can be really, really difficult. We do catch Zaka here. Difficult mind game incoming on the window. Xeno seems to be the winner of that, but we have a little window here to chain that in. So we waste a good 7 to 10 seconds from the killer, and that's going to lead us back towards the generators in the distance. Obviously, the corner one far away is the one under attack here. So we force Xeno into longer walk time, you could say, across the map. But Marcos also revealed and found, and that, Heather, seems to seal the deal here in a second.
Yeah, I mean, the survivors played that pretty perfectly. Unfortunately, it just like wasn't enough to get the final gen done. But the gen split was pretty hard, but they found each gen that was furthest away from each other on the map, making Xeno have to travel as far as possible to defend both gens, and that's exactly what you have to do. But unfortunately, sometimes it's just not enough, especially when you're literally 2v1. Like it's hard. It's really, really hard. But Praxis played really well. So did Xeno. I'm very, very excited to see the next game.
Yeah, this is a crazy entrance into the best of 5, right? We just saw how close the teams can be together when we watched Invictus versus Umbrella here. And basically Elysium is making it very clear, we are not looking forward to have such a close game. We will make sure that we immediately go into the 4K with 2 generators standing here. This means for Praxis Killer coming up that we need a 4K with 3 generators still standing to achieve a win, and 4K2, an incredible result, would only be the tie here. So Elysium with a very clear message. Xeno absolutely on point here at the start of this best of 5. And Praxis Killer basically needs an amazing early game as well. You need to get a few injuries at the very beginning. You need to set the high pressure on Team Elysium's survivor side. So you have no second to waste.
Yeah, that was a really, really strong start for Elysium. That's exactly what you want going into the first set, you know. And I would be scared if I was Praxis, but if the Praxis have got this, I believe in them. I think I'm ready to go like to the very end and see all 5 sets. I think that it would be really cool, and I think it's possible, you know.
It is definitely like, if someone can do it, then it's going to be Team Praxis, because we are looking at names like Zaka, for example, who is older than the entire, like, has so much experience that you can find him in the first source of the competitive DBD archive, basically. Absolute incredible player. We are looking at Laser. We won with a bunch of experience there as well. So the team is absolutely incredible. So they definitely have the potential to make up for this tricky win condition. I think even if you don't make it, it would be important to at least get a 4K here. Because if Elysium is now walking out of that door with just a few stages, that could potentially just get Elysium into this typical wave and dynamic of being strong and confident, and then it's going to be really exceptionally hard to break them out of it.
Yeah, it's not how you want to go into the next set, like knowing that, you know, you got outed when there was such a strong start for Elysium's killer. So I can like completely understand that. But also, you never know, on the other flip of the coin, they might get a bit too confident, a bit too cocky, you know, and they might throw it in the next set. It's like a flip of the coin, really, you know.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how these first few seconds are going to be played. Like, as we pointed out, we need an injury almost immediately. We need to basically play Ghoul on the Wraith. But if the first minute and a half would pass without an injury coming in, without pressure coming in, it's going to be extremely hard to pull that back. So yeah, we
Not
can
asking
only
for
hope.
much, really.
Yeah, but basically this is really what we need, right? We need this hit and run Wraith. We need a lot of injuries. We need a good early down. We need to keep the survivors busy. If we are not able to achieve that, and the survivors have a good grasp at the beginning, yeah, then it's going to be just the dynamic that the survivors keep going, and then it's really hard to come back.
Yeah, I think it's also really important to note that that was Elysium's pick. So, like, that is their comfort killer. We've seen them pick Wraith, we've seen them play Wraith a lot, we've seen them win Wraith a lot. So, even if Praxis like cannot manage to get that win con, we still have all of their picks coming up. I did notice that in the last matchup that we had, it was more the opposite. Like every set that the team picked, they lost, and the other way round, you know. So I thought that was really interesting. But it's looking like that might not be the case here. But you never know. I think it's a really possible win con. We've seen crazier things, and yeah, I don't know. I think you're always going to feel stronger on the killer that you picked, right, on the set that you picked. So I don't think Praxis should be feeling too like glum right now. Like whenever you lose a set that you picked, it's kind of like, okay, well, you know, this was their pick anyway, so we got the next one. But we're talking about it too early, really. I think it's really possible that they can take this back.
Yeah, and this is an important point, right? Talking about the sets and who selected the killers, because if this is going wrong and Praxis is losing the first set, you can say immediately, okay, well, we lost the first set, but it's all going according to plan. Elysium said they want to play Wraith. They are feeling confident on it. Well, they did, but basically nothing is happening. So we can just set it mentally back to 0-0, and now we can start, because now is our set coming in. This is definitely a strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, we are loading back into the Temple of Purgation, and we have a tough task ahead of us. The killer of Praxis needs to achieve a 4K with 3 generators still standing in order to win this. 2 generators still standing would be the tie. And honestly, if you 4K to this and get it into the tiebreaker, you can almost celebrate that like a victory. So there is a lot to do for Praxis Killer, but there's also a lot to earn here. Temple of Purgation, we've seen it, even though it's really huge map and you have a lot of travel time to do, that didn't stop Xeno at all from performing well. And now we have Zaka, the monster as we call him in the competitive community, and if someone can do it, then it's this guy.
That's very true. He's already found someone to chase. There's 2 people here. The 2 people here that are inside of the corrupt area. He's got so much to choose from. Who does he want to chase? Looks like he's going to take this chase here. I'm not surprised, because he's very, very zoned in this corner. We've already broken the other pallet. Preventing the pallet break for Zaka here, it makes so much sense, but he is unfortunately somewhat zoned over here. So we might be seeing an M1. We're doing exactly what we don't want to do as the killer, which is chase in the corrupt. But it's exactly what the survivors would want. Looks like he's might run out of resources. Nope, still got the pallet, This is looking tried. The short swing didn't work out, but I think this could be a really fast down for Zaka here, and it's exactly what they needed.
Fast down indeed, getting the pressure started. Little bit of mind games going on here, but it's not going to work out. Silhey accepting his fate, going down here. Xeno, Ivan, Pedro not being found yet, so they are definitely grinding generators in the distance here as a double up. First objective out of the way. So basically only 1 more gen, then we need to 4K. This is how difficult it is for Praxis Killer Zaka here. Let's see if we can continue this streak, and we definitely got a good first down. If we can continue with this speed, we definitely look forward to a good game.
Yeah, there was no pain res on that first down though, so not a lot of gen regression coming in here. But it is nice to know when you are playing Survivor that there is a win con of just, okay, we don't have to worry about stages, we just have to pop this many gens. So, you know, they know that they have to pop 4 gens, and I think that's like quite achievable. You know, you just want to sit there and you want to pressure gens. You've got someone who's going to go for the unhook. And it's a nice feeling for the survivors, but obviously pretty horrible feeling for the killer, knowing once one more gen pops, you know, you have to 4K. It's like, where am I going to get all this pressure from? You really, really, really need to pull it out the bag. And it's not going to be easy, but he also needs to make sure he's defending the gens as well as getting survivors down. So it's just like you're juggling so much, you know. Does find a survivor here, gonna take the chase with him. Another gen has popped. It's looking very, very rough for Zaka right now. It does look like the survivors have let Silhe go to second. What they're focusing on right now is getting those gens done. They need that gen pressure. They don't really need to get Silhe off the hook right now. What they need to do is they need to pop the gens, and that's exactly what they should be doing.
Yeah, we like that, right? We see a tactical adjustment based on the win condition, which is really, really well done here. They don't follow a standard game plan, which would obviously be getting Silhe off the hook, because you usually want to keep all 4 survivors alive as long as possible. No, they are adjusting to the win condition. They are aware 2 more generators will be enough to take the first set points. So let's grind the objectives. Let's put the pressure in. We have 2 completed generators already. We have another half of a generator done. Tag onto Xeno coming in. That is a smart idea now from Zaka, because it does spread a little bit of pressure. Xeno will need to be more careful later on in the trial, or they have to waste some time into the reset, which slows down the generators here. Silhe with a strong setup here, had a filler pallet into this wall here. We get a little bit of bamboozle action. Triple vault, quadruple vault, more! Give me more vaults, Jimbo! Unfortunately, with the quadruple, it is coming to an end, but we drop the pallet here. Well done from Silhe. That's a lot of time waste, and we do get help coming in from Pedro here. So that is also an interesting difference now, because Praxis on the survivor side, on the other hand, did not throw in buddies and prioritize the generators, and somehow Elysium is prioritizing the generators while also being altruistic.
Oh, unfortunate down there, but I did notice that the body block was coming in, and I do think that it's like pretty important anyway, because they want to like have as much time as possible before the 3v1, right? 3v1 is not great. It's not good for the survivors, although they know they only have to do gens. You still don't really want a 3v1, but you don't want to waste so much time having loads of survivors body blocking, because that means 1 less survivor on a gen. But it looks like gen progress is looking really good right now. It's looking good. The survivors, they're doing a great job.
They're doing a really great job. They just won.
Yeah.
You asked, they delivered.
Well, that was, yeah. Oh.
Well, finally in DBDLeague we have some caster blessing. Finally, everyone is always saying that we only caster curse teams here in DBDLeague, and we down survivors and we basically hook them remotely from our caster desk. Finally, we get some caster blessing.
You're welcome, guys.
So,
you're welcome. Yeah.
Finally, a caster that is more competent than us that were longer here. But yeah, 5th generator even, and Heather, we talked about it. We said if Elysium is walking out of these gates here with a great number of stages, that might be dangerous, because that sets Elysium in a whole different world of confidence, motivation, and great feelings. And it does look like we will have a lot of stages walking out of here.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear the name Elysium, it doesn't surprise you, right? It doesn't surprise you. But like I said, this is 1 of 5. Like, 1 of 5. Like, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Okay, this is 1 of 5. There's 4, like, out of that many, there's 4 more that can still be played. And 1 win at the beginning doesn't mean anything. I'm telling you.
Yeah, let's see how chaotic this end game turns, because Ivan is now getting hooked potentially, and knowing Elysium, they will make a return because they do want to get as many stages out as possible usually. However, they have to heal 2 injuries, and the gates are pretty far away. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they just take it. Pedro leaving as well. But a wonderful result here. We have 5 stages walking out of the door. That is incredible, especially with the fresh hook there. So this first set was a difference like day and night. I will call it a little bit dramatic here, but Elysium seems to be absolutely on point. Said we will take the Wraith set as an opening set for this best of 5, and they absolutely delivered.
Yeah, I mean, it was such an exciting set to watch. I think the gameplay on both sides was just like spectacular. You just saw so much skill, both from the killer players and from the survivor players. You had the body blocks coming in with the Wraith, like against the resources, so they couldn't get there. We also saw the hit over the tile that really changed the game at the beginning there. I think that really was like a game changer as well. We saw body blocks coming in. We saw so much gen pressure. They knew exactly what gens they had to be on, when they had to be on, and yeah, it was perfect. But we do have more sets to come, and I'm sure we're going to see exactly the same skill set in those two.
Yeah, fresh start basically for Team Praxis now. You have to get that out of your head. The Plague, the best and most exciting killer in competitive Dead by Daylight by far. So much strategy, so much pressure out of nowhere when she pulls the power, such important decisions. When do we want to cleanse? Do we cleanse at all? Our producer, you don't see it right now, but he's selecting the Plague, turning her towards us to get us casters prepared for the trial. No, but Plague is really, really exciting. Also because we do see sometimes that the teams pick very different strategies. We see some Plagues that are spawning in, taking the power because they feel very confident in finding a survivor fast and downing them, while other Plagues are basically saving the corrupt pools for later when it's this, you know, this moment to strike, when all of them are broken and kind of locked down, ideally in a 3 or 4 gen setup. Then you want to take the power and then you want to strike. So it will be interesting if Zaka does something more aggressive than usual, just because they want to compensate for the set loss that they had to take, or if we will see a standard Plague basically that starts with the injuries, breaks all the survivors, gets them infected, and then later on pulling the power here. Will be interesting to see what the approach is.
Yeah, I think, as you said, play can be really fun, really interesting. Maybe not to play as. I feel like it would be very, very stressful as a survivor, especially as the killer as well. But what I really love about Plague sets is just how macro focused it is. Like, you need such good communication as a survivor team to be able to do well against a Plague. Like, you need to make sure you're splitting those gens. 3 gens is like one of the most important things in Plague sets, you know, and so you really need to make sure that you are communicating what gens you're on, which gens need to be done. You have basically one health state for the whole game, so you don't have the room for mistakes like you would in other sets. Like, you need to know if a killer is leaving a chase from the current survivor. They need to say that very, very soon, because otherwise someone is going to get caught out on a gen, they're going to go down, they die in the 3 gen, it's over, you know. That's not good. And I just think you can really see that when you see these Plague sets, and you can see the high level of skill from both the killer and the survivors, and I think it's just so interesting to watch these sets, to be honest.
Absolutely. It is interesting overall, and it's even more interesting when it's the Plague. I can't stop the glaze here. Interesting that we see the agitation. It really fits the killer though, because with the Plague you can do a really nice job in holding a 3, sometimes even a 4 gen setup, especially because you can force the survivors into infection early on when you puke those generators. So it really makes sense to pair it with the agitation to hook these survivors constantly in your chosen setup. Pedro wins the hide and seek. That cannot be said for Ivan, because he's spreading the scratch marks, and it seems like our Plague is opting to follow into the main building here. Will we also engage with the chase? The answer is yes. We see Zeno and Pedro already infected, so the survivors not scared at all, jumping immediately onto the generators. Now we have the infection of Ivan as well, so that leaves only Silhey as a non-infected survivor here. So for the Plague, it is a good first few seconds of the game here, because you do get a lot of infections, which is basically objective number 1 after loading in.
Yep, we do see a lot of gen progress already, but as you can see, we do have Thanatophobia on Zaka on the Plague, which will make a lot of slowdown for the gen progress for the survivors, because it is 5% slowdown per every injured survivor. And so now Ivan is getting injured and Pedro soon will be. There will be 15% slowdown on these gens. So that just like is the cherry on top, really. Plague looks like Zaka is defending these gens as much as she can, probably scouting out to see like what 3 gens she might be able to defend. Breaking the doors in main. I think she's like playing it like quite slow right now. She knows she has some regression of the erupted gens and everything, trying to find a survivor around, but looks like it's quite a slow start here already.
Yeah, exactly. More of a slow start for the killer for sure. Not engaging in too many chases, especially not those that are ending in a down here. Survivors have half of a generator in the distance. Started a few other individual generators, but they are on really low progress at the moment. But if we do not get it down very soon, the survivor team will definitely take some profit from it. Ambitious swing here. Pedro just holding W away, saved the pallet for a mind game that is now coming in. Who will be the winner is the question. Pedro forced to drop the pallet. Zeno about to finish a generator in the distance, and Pedro still on the run here. Tried to fake that he would vault, and Zaka's weapon is not reaching the survivor, unfortunately. So Pedro on another turn around the tile here. Very, very well done. Finally, we do get the down in, but very, very good start for the survivors here.
Yeah, that was a really good chase. We had a gen that was going to pop, but it looked like Eruption did go on the gen. So no gens have popped yet. Got a hook coming in, going back to where she knows their gens are progressed. And Zeno is looking like he is gonna be found. He is found. Zaka very much knows that that he is here. Taking chase here as well. Will it be a quick down? Oh, Zeno is already injured from earlier being... we see the power here as well. Don't think she's going to take it. She just doesn't even need it. Doesn't even need it. Zeno is down. They've got the pull on Pedro, and a gen pops finally, and it looks like the game is going a lot faster than it was before. And I think one reason why it wasn't so slow... usually Plague sets are pretty slow in the beginning, but there was no corrupt. They were able to get on gens very fast, and you saw them get very injured, like very fast, because they were able to get on the gens. They weren't corrupted, but there still was quite a slow start, but it's looking up now.
Yeah, we are increasing the speed on the killer side as well. Pedro and Zeno with the hook stage now. We see 25% on the generator in the distance, and we do go for a few more pukes. That's going to be a little bit of a setback on this generator that is roughly on the half mark. We have a second generator coming out. We see Pedro attacking a generator in the distance. So on the generator department, it definitely looks really promising for our survivor team. And here comes the moment of truth. Zaka picking up the power. Now is time to grind. Impressive to me, by the way, that we always see Silhey being the uninfected survivor. He's kind of taking the extra or bonus role here on the survivor side. But yeah, now Zaka with the power, that means we definitely want to make some meaningful impact, and that could potentially happen on Ivan, but somehow that's a first miss. Only the second puke is going to be successful. Good work by Zaka here. But at the same time, good work from the survivor team, because we do not have a tunnel out possible and available anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, that's quite surprising. I feel like that's something you really want to focus on as a killer, like early game. Haven't really seen that from Zaka here, but still has quite a lot of pressure. This power is going on for maybe a little bit longer than base kit, because obviously we have the Devotee Amulet, which increases the duration of the Corrupt Purge by 20 seconds. So you actually have 80 seconds of it instead of 60. So it's still going on. I haven't seen a lot more action from it, but it's good to know, of course. And we've already got the unhook here. Looks like we possibly get that final hit with that. We do. Okay, great. That's what I like to see. That's what I like to see. Silhey finally getting injured, is not infected, but it looks like Zaka is going to leave that chase and go back and find Zeno. Maybe leaving that, wants to kick the gen. She is so focused on her gens this Plague. I don't blame her. You really want to keep these the focus on these gens. You don't want them to pop. You really don't. Plague has a lot of like ability to defend these gens, you know, and especially excels.
Yeah, and so far, at least when we look on the number of generators that still need to be repaired, we are still on 3. So this defense by the Plague is definitely working out here. That's going to be the second attempt with the power. Let's see if we get some downs again. We hear Pedro around. That's going to be a quite tough run because we are in the open here. Quick down coming through, exactly what Zaka needs. Second stage as well, so we are now looking towards a potential tunnel out coming through. 50% in the main building on a generator. A second generator was worked on earlier with roughly, or not even a quarter of progress yet. So survivors turning a little bit slower here, yet they are definitely working with multiple survivors on their objective. How's it looking with the power here? Xeno intentionally taking that power hit to reach a more safe area where more objectives are blocking. Line of sight between him and the Plague. Mind game around the stun. Xeno dropping the pallet, and unfortunately Zaka predicted that, so it's going to be a clean down right here. And the next one, Silhey, is in danger. That's what we call a snowball potential in competitive DBD here. Zaka now opting to go back and taking the guaranteed pressure, the hooked survivor Pedro and potentially the down survivor Xeno here, but it's falling a little bit apart on the survivor side, and the reason for that is definitely that Zaka is making 2-3 steps up now in the pressure, maybe even 6-7 steps. We will see.
Right, okay. What I was gonna say before you made a 6-7 joke was that this is such a predicament for the survivors, but it's really, really great for Zaka because you see, well, they still, I was gonna say the slug right next to the hook, which is in the vicinity of the gens, but they've managed to get Xeno up. Looks like Zaka was really, really wanting Pedro to go to, I mean, to die there, and now it's a 3v1. He had a slug and a death hook, and all of the gens in the vicinity, there was no reason for him to leave there. There was absolutely no reason. Gets the down on Silhey there, and this is looking like such a great game for Zaka.
That is a great game indeed. It is the perfect answer to the Wraith game that we have seen in the previous set. Absolute great work. You make a perfect recovery here after this huge opener that Elysium showed us in the previous trial. Xeno with a 75% generator in the distance stopped working on it, as Zaka is now also picking up the next power. So we have more and more pressure rising. For Ivan and Xeno, it's basically the same task as we have talked about earlier when we were talking about the Wraith set. You really want to make sure now that you get generator number 4 out of the way, because that enables your killer to play around the 3-gen setup, and if he then successfully 4Ks by defending the 3-gen setup, you basically reach the tie. You can go for a second chance here. So getting that 4th generator out of the way is definitely huge news.
Ooh, what a nice down over the wall there. That was really, really great. We got DMS on the gen as well, slowing it down. This is looking good. We have, if you see the gen spread that they've got right there, they're all pretty close together. It's not, this is really, really good for the Plague to defend. We have a lot of pressure here still. I think she's still in power as well, forcing the locker here. Silhey is going to get grabbed out the locker, doesn't want to allow for a slug. They want to be able to see if they can get this gen done, see if they can make it down to to 5 gens done. That would be a really, really good win con. Going to hook Silhey, probably gonna, well, got agitation, so she's gonna make it a lot quicker than usual, and immediately gonna go and check that gen. That's exactly what Zaka should be doing.
Yeah, now when you played a Plague trial like this, you really don't want generator number 5 to be completed. You want to finish it in a nice and smooth way. You just want to get the remaining stages in, and you want to send a message to your team and say, okay, guys, you're coming up as survivor team next. Let's make sure that we pull set number 2. Then we have a 1-1 score overall and basically start all over again. So Zaka needs to grind here. Xeno in chase. His responsibility is quite some chase time. So his survivor team can get back on the objectives, can get that final generator out of the way. Ambitious swing leading to a stun here. Xeno playing this really well. Zaka forced to take a short look on the generator around. Nice fake there from Xeno. Zaka swinging into the air, and that means we have another circle around this tile. Xeno with the great vault. We also see that we have a second pallet in reach, at least for a potential pallet save, question mark. We see the scratch marks around. Zaka is aware of that, forces the survivor as well. And the answer is that Xeno will not be heroically saved. Instead, going on to the hook here. Second stage coming in 60 seconds away from the next elimination. Final pain risk coming out as well. Heather, now Zaka more and more in the better position.
Yeah, this is looking pretty good for Zaka, pretty rough for the survivors. You see how close these gens are? They have to just keep pressuring these gens, running away, and then communicating to their team. Right, she's over here, not committing, going back. You know, there's so much communication to be had between these survivors. It's not impossible, though. Plague can't be in all 3 generator areas at once. Like, she can't. Of course, they're close together. Endurance hit on Xeno. But of course, they're close together, but it's not possible. You know, as long as the survivors are communicating, it's really possible to get those gens done. We'll get the down on Silhay here. Will they come in for a pallet save? I don't think it's going to be able to get there fast enough. I think that's going to be Silhay out of the game, and it's going to be down to a 2v1, and it's looking like that final generator is going to remain undone unless they can keep the pressure up on these generators with just 2 of them left.
It's all about the pressure here, indeed, and the pressure just went higher and higher, with Silhay saying goodbye to this Plague trial. Xeno and Ivan now with the responsibility for generator number 5 on their shoulders, and hopefully we can find Ivan first, because Xeno would be immediately eliminated. We see a little bit of pressure over here on this generator. Xeno is on 25% in the distance. So Ivan needs to show us all his ladder talent, all of his 1v1 experience. The only problem is we have already broken quite some pallets here, so the resources are limited. We do circle a little bit around, moving away again into the TNL, into the corner here. That's also increasing the time loss after we downed the survivor, because it's a further travel time back towards the generators. Ivan going down. Xeno on 65%, now 67% in the distance on a generator. And that is, even though I'm not good with mathematics, but that will not be enough to finish this generator. That is not enough time, and basically means we will engage in the potential last chase of this trial here. Zaka with an absolute comeback on the side of Praxis. Really, really well done.
Yeah, 4K1 is a pretty good result. I think it's definitely repeatable by the next set. I think it's possible. I think it was really rough in that final area. Like, we just had hooks in the 3-gen, like in the final 3 gens. They weren't that close together, but in hindsight, with the whole map, they were pretty close together. And the hooks just kept being inside of those 3 gens. It was just basically impossible. And I think the survivors knew that, but they tried their best, and that will be the final down. And there we are, 4K1 for Zaka.
The perfect answer looks exactly like this. When you have a tough first set and the opening trials of a best of 5 do not work out, then you need a Zaka, and a Zaka who's bringing it back with the 4K1. It is such a good win condition also for your planning, right? When you sit in the VC with your survivor team and you know, okay, we just need all the gens. It sounds good, it feels good, it's a reason to feel confident, and yeah, you just like to play for all the generators being done. That being said, we have seen how difficult it can be once all the survivors are infected, especially when the Plague is doing a good job in the early game, spreading the infections. It is easier said than done getting the 5 generators out of the way. So it is still going to be a tough task for Praxis Survivor team, even though the odds are pretty good.
Yeah, you think, oh, it's fine, I just got to do 5 gens, and then you realize it's against Plague, who probably has thanatophobia. You're probably injured the whole game. It's impossible to stealth because you're throwing up everywhere. There's pain rat. You know, it seems like, okay, yeah, I'll just do 5 gens, but realistically, it's a lot harder than that. But it is a light at the end of the tunnel, so to speak. They don't need to worry about hook stages. They don't need to worry about deaths. They just know they need to get those 5 gens done. Like sometimes, like that's all it takes to just like motivate you to just get them done. You know, it's a really nice win con to try and strive for if you're the survivors.
Wholeheartedly agree. And it is now also going to be interesting how our Plague is playing that, because this might be the moment when you know that the survivors just need all the generators done, that you might go for this more aggressive strategy, that you might load into the trial and say a little bit earlier, okay, time to pick the power, time to try something wild. When you usually in a normal trial would say, it is not time for the power yet. It is not the right moment. I'll wait a little bit longer. But knowing that the survivors only need the 5 generators, we might see this decision coming out earlier to increase the pressure. And trying to chain some downs and injuries together. So it will be interesting if we will see an adjustment on Xeno's tactical approach here.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see it. I think Xeno is gonna really put up a fight. I think it's very, very possible to deny the survivors of those 5 generators. I think it's definitely possible. If anyone can do it, I think it's Xeno. But like we said before, this was Praxis's pick, so it's not surprising that they had a really strong start. And it would be really cool if, you know, that trend continued and we see Praxis win this set, and then it's like, okay, well, they did pick it, so maybe the next set will be Elysium, and then it's just gonna, you know, seesaw back and forth like that. I think it's not uncommon. It's not uncommon, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah, you could almost say that this team that is now playing Survivor has a little bit more Praxis.
I literally knew you were going to say that before you said it. Like, I actually, I hear the tone in your voice, and you're like, you could say it. I'm like, here it comes. Here it comes. I knew it. And I've heard you do them so many times. I was like, he's going to say they have more practice. I know they're going to say they have more practice. I knew it. I should have said it for you.
So basically, you already have like a subconscious alert alarm system built in now that protects you from the puns.
Yeah, I should like deafen on Discord so I don't have to hear it. No, I'm kidding. It's really funny. They're really good jokes. Please don't fire me.
I honestly think that you are the only caster and the only person in this entire community that okay, there are a few people that actually enjoy the puns, but actually for behind the scenes, I think you're the only person that ever liked these jokes. Everyone else is like, I'm quitting. I want to be fired. I want to be laid off. But yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we are loading in trial number 4 with the perfect chance for Team Praxis to seal the deal in the second set. It would be the comeback. It would put us on a 1-1 score overall, basically resetting what happened so far. And then you can just play it like a best of 3, right? So you made sure that the other team doesn't get the advantage. And then you just make sure, okay, now we play the remaining 3 sets like a best of 3. We start all over again. Let's go for it. And it might even be an advantage because you took the second set. So now you're feeling good and confident and prepared for this best of 3 that is coming in. But before that is possible, we won. Marcos, Ward, and Zaka need to show us a great survivor trial, getting all of the generators out of the way.
Yeah, we're seeing a different perk choice here. We have Corrupt, which is very, very common on Plague. Slows down the game a lot, but it is really good for Xeno because it means he knows he only has to worry about like a few gens on the map. He sees all of them, he sees the ones that are open, he can puke on all of them, and now he knows, he has the information, he knows Zaka has gotten onto one of these gens already. I think it's wow, taking the power already. That is probably because Xeno knows exactly where Zaka is and really wants to get like a quick down and knows that he needs to get that pressure in, doesn't want them to get the gens, and already sees him. Are we going... What is this game plan here, Dyer?
Yeah, we are wasting time. We are accepting that we might have a difficult early game. I'm not entirely sure if I would go straight into the basement instead of potentially trying to waste as much time as possible around the shack. On the other hand, though, if you try it and you go down around the shack, you might offer a pain res hook very early. That sets back the pressure that you have at the moment. And when you grind towards all the generators being done, you might not want to take the pain res hook immediately. But it is definitely an unfortunate start, so or so. And no matter what perspective we choose for the analytical view, it was an incredibly fast down. It was interesting that Xeno actually opted to pick the power early. I don't want to glaze myself and say that I called it, but I kind of called it, so I will. But yeah, it is interesting to see that Xeno feels this pressure and said, power out, I need something done in the first minute, and he got it done, so well done.
Yeah, I think Zaka like maybe tried to deny it a little bit, and in the same breath was able to like think, okay, well, I'm gonna get put down in basement, but that means as soon as I get grabbed out the locker, corrupt is over, everyone can start working on those gens. It's gonna take time for Xeno to hook me, and you saw how much progress Marcos and Ward had on that gen before Plague came and interrupted it. So it could be, you know, like a strat that they had going on over there. They were obviously communicating really well about it. We have seen Xeno take his power again. Looks like he's going to head back to basement, probably see if he can find that tunnel out. Has a lot, I feel like has quite a lot of pressure. Already has a stage. Finds Zaka again. Still no gens are being done. Doesn't quite get the corrupt purge right there, but I think it's very possible, and that's Shack pallet gone. Gonna continue to probably chase Zaka. You really, really want to get this tunnel out here, and no more pallet. We've just got the window to work with. It's gonna be an interesting chase.
Ooh, just a few pixels. There was one drop that was flying directly at the survivor, and I'm not entirely sure how they dodged it, but they did a really good job. It is Zaka again, this time not going into the basement, choosing a different strategy. Firecracker forces Xeno into going around, and Zaka does decide to go for the vault, though. Unfortunate, because now he is going back into his favorite location on this map, the basement, and he can enjoy it once again from the hook here. Xeno with the puke there, checking if V1 is potentially hiding down here. Very smart consideration there on the tactical side. And he does expect really confidently that someone is around here. Interesting to see that.
We did see 2 gens pop for that as well, which is actually pretty huge. That was a lot of gen progress just for 2 stages. Yeah, checking around for stealth, I don't blame him like whatsoever, but I think like what the survivors really want to do is just get those gens done, but they really need to make sure that someone is coming to save Zaka. And I was gonna say it should probably be V1 because V1 is healthy. However, V1 is now being chased around basement, so I don't know if he's gonna go and try and get this trade. It looks like very smart thing to do. No one else can really get the trade because it would be a death sentence really. Gets the trade. Zaka is going to run for his life, and will he going for it, going for the tunnel out. I literally don't blame him.
Me neither. I agree with you there. And Zaka is playing this trial on 5% of the map available for him. I don't know if Zaka practiced 1v1s around the shack more recently, and that's why he's feeling more confident here. But yeah, he is doing a very good job at the moment with keeping Xeno busy and making sure that he's not going down, enabling the survivor team to have more time on the pickup on V1, more time on the generators as well. So we might definitely get the 4th generator out of the way. There it is, and Zaka really on the grind now around the shack here. Xeno on Bloodlust 3, and that is still not a down. Bloodlust 3 continues. Zaka with the comeback chase of the century almost. We won going straight down again, but that is a huge loss you have to take now on the killer side. You didn't get Zaka down. You have to give up on him. You have to prioritize the down on V1. That is a pain res hook, but the 5th generator is closer than ever.
Yeah, I think if you're Xeno right now, you're very, very scared. Obviously, you want to get Zaka out because the 3v1 situation is going to be really, really great for you. But also, you have to remember that these gens, they're getting progressed, okay? And got the down on V1 and thought, okay, let me get that pain res in. Let's calm down the gen progress a little bit. Takes the power, is once again at shack. There is no shack pallet. Gonna see, are we gonna get a down here? I can't even tell who he's chasing right now because the line of sight is being blocked so well. The check spots are so good. Wants to see if there's someone on this gen. Doesn't seem like it hits, but they already pre-left. Amazing communication from the team. Whoever was at shack said, leaving me, you know, and the other survivor knew that they needed to get out of there because, of course, you have to be very, very careful when Plague has her power.
Yeah, and Praxis so far is kind of finding this perfect balance between being careful, as you mentioned, around the power and still prioritizing. Ooh. See, this is what I mean. I'm caster cursing people. You are caster blessing people. And when you say something positive, it does happen. But yeah, besides this, they did a really good job in finding a perfect mix between attacking the generators aggressively, kind of staying out of the difficult areas, not chaining too many downs together. Then we had this great comeback chase from Zaka throughout the mid game. And I do feel confident for them that generator number 5 is coming through here. It would kind of suit how they performed here. It would definitely be well deserved.
I do kind of agree with you that I think that they can do it. However, if you've seen that gen spread, like, they are so close. We've got Agi here. Of course, Xeno is going to try and go for this pain res hook. I don't blame him whatsoever. Also gets the hook closer to the 3 gen. These gens are so close together, but we have seen a lot of progress on the gen at shack, but it looks like the pain res went onto the gen on the hill, so Xeno can rest comfortably, and knowing that that was the one that was the most progress is going to go for this chase over here. But if you are Xeno, you're not going to want to take chase for too long away from those gens because they all missed the swing. That is very unfortunate, but it doesn't matter. There is not a lot here for Marcos to work with. We'll get the down. Will probably be another pain res. Will go towards the 3 gen, get another regression in, has agitation, doesn't even need to worry about it. I think it's gonna be really hard for the survivors to break this 3 gen. You have to remember the 3 gen last game, it was a 3v1 and they have 4 survivors. So there is a lot to juggle here with for Xeno because he never managed to get the tunnel out on Zaka. Insta pull on Marcos. Very fast gameplay that's going on right now, but I just think it's going to be so hard for the survivors to get these gens split, to be honest. Tries to go for the M1 through the window, doesn't quite work out. Zaka is back at his favorite place, which is shack, and is going to try as best as he can to keep this going, to get some gen progress for his team.
And guess where we are with the Zaka at the shack? We haven't seen that yet in this trial, ladies and gentlemen. This is new. And
oh
Xeno
my gosh.
Too far away from preventing this hill generator from being completed. Very well done by Team Praxis. 1-1 overall now. They brought it back in this best of 5. They lost the Wraith, kind of clear, and they won the Plague now. Also kind of clear, because this also has the potential to end with a lot of escapes here and taking a lot of stages out of the door. They managed to stay alive with 4 survivors, prevented the tunnel out, did a very, very good job in not taking too much risk while attacking the generators. And look at them all grinding towards the exit here. Will we see V1 also leaving the trial together with Marcos? That's the question here. But a lot of stages walking out of that door. Really well done. Praxis can be really proud of themselves.
Yeah, I mean they played that brilliantly. Like that gen split was so close together, and they also like stopped Zaka from being tunneled out, and that I think changed the game. Like if Zaka got tunneled out and it was a 3v1 with that gen split, it would have been like miles harder for them to like get that done, and they did it so brilliantly played from the survivors. But Xeno also put up a really good fight there, and did everything that he could. It's just unfortunate that Zaka had his little basement thing there. Like Zaka in that basement, they knew what they were doing.
Yeah, I kind of got to say it in the name of a perk, a deja vu, because when they played against Serene, Zaka did the exact same thing at the beginning, went into the basement, and people had a lot of questions about it. And seeing it today, I was like, okay, again we go into the basement, again we are trying to prevent a scorch hook potentially, wasting a little bit of time. But I think it also went a lot better than last time, even though they won against Serene. But afterwards, it still looked way more structured on the survivor side. So yeah, very well done. And now we will basically play everybody's darling in competitive Dead by Daylight, at least when we talk about what the players like, what the players like to pick, because funny enough, Elysium and Praxis agreed on the exact same killers for set 3 to 5, Dark Lord, Spirit, Ghoul. That is not from our end, so put your protest banners back in. You don't need to raid the DBDLeague headquarters. They have 25 killers available. They just ban a few and then they will pick afterwards. So the fact that we see Dark Lord, Spirit, and Ghoul again is not our fault. Yet super interesting that the 4 top teams in the world seem to have a preference for Dark Lord, Spirit, and Ghoul and seem to agree on it, right?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's kind of telling about, you know, how well these killers play in comp. And it also might be something to do with the fact that these killers are seen so often that maybe these teams have the most practice against them, and so they feel more comfortable picking these killers. There's so much to like think about there, but I think a lot of it is probably to do with like how well these killers can perform. But it's also a bonus if you know that, well, we played that last time, so we have all the practice under our belt and we can just go again. You know, I don't blame them.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. The Dark Lord, ever since he got added to the game and got played in competitive DBD, I feel like there was just a high motivation for the players to figure out the counterplay, to work with the mechanics, to learn more, really optimize the mind games around the Hellfire, how do I play the TNLs, the jungle gyms, and so on. So I really agree with you. It is a confidence pick. It is the comfort zone for these players. But that also means that we have probably 2 very equal teams playing against each other now on the Dark Lord, because they do have so much practice.
You're
That
saying
was
it now.
totally not intended. Totally not
It's
intended.
just ingrained in your brain now. You're making
Kinda,
puns by accident. It's over for you.
It's part of my DNA now. Xeno is once again on the responsibility on the killer here. Zaka, Marcos, V1, and El Marco are taking the responsibility for Praxis survivor side. V1 has yet to ready up. He's probably considering the final strategic twists and details there. But yeah, maybe difficult question, but you have seen these 2 teams now for 2 sets. Both of them took one. Just as a straight feeling from the stomach, who's taking the Dark Lord in your opinion?
Oh my god, what a tough question. I have no idea. Do you know who picked this set, or did they both agree on this one?
It's Elysium's pick again.
Well, I'm gonna have to go with Elysium then. I genuinely feel like the one that you pick is the one, unless there's like a mistake or something. But the difference is with this is that they both have played like a lot of these ones. So I don't know. I do like my gut does tell me Elysium, but you've seen how the first round went with Wraith, right? And then we were like, wow, like that was like somewhat of a sweep, you could say. And then we went to Plague, and then Prax just did absolutely amazing, you know? So I don't know, but I'm going to say Elysium. What about you?
I think Elysium definitely has a very good chance here. Because what's so interesting is so far it's going exactly as the teams say, right? They have both picked one killer and then they delivered, and that points towards basically the dynamic that Elysium, when they said we will win the Dark Lord, they will also be successful on that. So we'll have to see if this early game is something that Praxis can really turn around, but Marco taking a very early hit here. Xeno with a confident Hellfire. Usually we see Dark Lords holding it for quite some time. Well done here by Marco, though, does get this done, but we do go into the wolf form. Yeah, very, very strong. No chance for Marco there. Almost a 2-tap. Great start. And the midsection hook is actually not that bad at the beginning, because you now have a short travel distance to the generators around you. That is something that really offers the chance to put some pressure up.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really early first down, but it's, you know, not over for the survivors yet. There's still so much pressure to be had. We are being hooked. Marco did get hooked right next to a gen that was being like quite highly progressed, so I fear that generator is going to be left for the time being until Marco is saved. We're going to have to like work around that a little bit. Looks like Zaka's going to go in for the save. No, but he's going straight back to that generator, but it's going to be a lot harder for them to get that gen progress when they know there's a hook right there nearby. But the game plan of the survivor here is Zaka is going to be trying to pressure this gen, and obviously the Dark Lord does not want that. So he's going to go between the hook and the gen as much as possible, and they're going to be communicating that when he commits to the gen to try and prevent any progress being done, that's when someone's going to go in for the unhook. But it looks like he's holding his Hellfire, we can see in the distance over there, around the hook. I think he really wants Marco to go second.
Yeah, Marco going second tells us about the game plan of the killer as well. You want to aim for that early elimination. You want to cut down the survivor team by 1. Zaka is the next one in chase. We'll see how good he's doing, because we have no Shack around. That is usually not Zaka's environment, at least after the previous trial. Wolfie, a little bit unsure where to go, was kind of waiting there. I think he tried to bait Zaka out, hoping that Zaka would move a little bit too close to the generator and then handing out a free tag. Zaka in chase. Yeah, now we're going back though, so we can definitely see what the approach is here for Xeno. Eliminating that survivor in best case right now by just watching the hook and preventing an unhook. But even if we do catch the rescue on Marco, we will definitely see the run for a lifetime here.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen 2 gens pop already just from Marco being, you know, camped to death on the hook. So I think there's a lot of gen progress to be had. We're gonna see another one pop, it seems like. I don't even think that Marco's not gonna get saved. That was, yeah. I mean, a very tactical choice by Xeno, but there is a lot of gen progress that has been had. That's another one that's popping. And now, I think, although it seems like, okay, now there's only 2 gens left, you have to remember it's a 3v1. It's so much easier for a killer to have pressure in a 3v1. That is 1 less survivor. Okay, so I'm gonna take back what I said. They already popped another gen. This is going very, very fast. There's a lot of generator progress, and just think that is, wow, what a hit through the pallet there. Only 3 stages right now and 4 gens done. I would be scared if I was Xeno.
Yeah, I agree with you, because even though like we are aware that a lot of people do not like camping out the hook and camping a survivor, but the tactical truth is it's a lot deeper than just standing at the hook and tunneling out a survivor or camping out a survivor, because you constantly need to consider the time aspect. You need to earn the ability to camp someone out, because if you just camp, the survivors finish the generators and walk out with 9 stages, you didn't necessarily do a great job on the killer side there. So Zeno, I mean, he had a reason why he camped. He must feel confident that he had time. I'm not sure if he expected that they would already get 4 generators out of the way. And if one of these chases is taking too long now, we will have all generators done with just 3 stages, meaning that the tactical mind game and the tactical back and forth here definitely fell on the survivor side.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it was kind of a gamble. Like, it just depends on... I think the one thing that happened probably on the survivor side when they saw this, they were like, okay, looks like he's going to camp this out. We have to choose whether or not we're going to try and prolong Marco's time in the game by unhooking. But every time we go and unhook, that's less pressure that we're going to get on gens. Or we can just let him hang there, use the hang time on the hook, because clearly Zeno isn't leaving, and just get all the gens done. And then a 3v1 to get 1 gen done. Like, it's good. Like, I think they made a really, really good choice. The only thing, the problem was Zeno just didn't have the gen pressure that he needed, as well as camping the hook, you know. But 3v1 situation, it's really, really easy to snowball in this as well. So I wouldn't put it past Zeno to manage something great from this.
Zeno with the injury onto Marcos, now on Marcos, and we won. So the survivors need to be careful. They might even want to consider a little reset, which would hand more time to the killer. And this Shack Gen, though, is dangerously close to the completion. We can hear the progress. And that is something, as you say, as you worded earlier, I would be a little bit scared if I were Zeno. And if I hear a generator with this amount of progress, I would be a little bit scared as well. But we seem to just focus the chase with the survivor over here. It's going to be the healthy Zaka. So we will also have 2 hits to do. And we do not even get the first one.
Oh my god, Drak cosplay when?
At the LAN, maybe.
Yes.
Zaka now being injured, Marcus getting healthy, but the Shack generator is so close. I do not see a world where he's able to defend that successfully with 2 survivors being healthy.
And you know what? Well, there's the eruption value, but what I was going to say is what Zeno did manage to lose from tunneling at the beginning, or not tunneling, but camping on the hook, is Pain Res and Eruption basically had no, like, value. Like, he didn't even get a Pain Res hook on Marco. It looks like there's a lot of pressure here. He gets the bite through the window, but yeah, didn't get any Pain Res value. So there was no regression when he was camping him out on the hook. But look, there is a lot of snowball going on here. Zaka is on the floor. V1 is going to need to go and pick up Zaka right now, since Marcos has... Never mind. You know what? Don't even listen to me. They've managed to finish that gen. That is absolutely huge. Will Zeno be able to get back in time to where Zaka was downed? No. Not looking like it. They did manage to get Zaka up. What is the game plan now for Zeno?
And it was 3 seconds from getting this Pain Res hook on Marcus compared to V1 fixing the final generator. Just 3 seconds between these 2 teams. That's how close we are in round 3 of the winter circuit here. Both teams fighting for their ticket into the playoffs, and sometimes 3 seconds can potentially be enough. V1 hiding somewhere on the map. Oh, not even somewhere on the map, super close to the killer on the map. Don't get found. It would be basically over. He does get sniffed out by the Wolfie. The tracker on point, and with the teleport to the window, it might be tricky to get the survivor up in time. We do miss the Hellfire though, so V1 has a little bit of extra time, and Zaka running towards Marcos on the hook. Survivor team struggling and fighting for the rescue here. Unhook might come in successfully. That's going to be the down now. Marcos in the deep wound. But yeah, all the generators completed. Most likely we will not see the escapes, which is still quite tough for the next trial, because getting it out is something you need to achieve.
Yeah, I mean, it's that's going to be pretty hard, but I don't know, like still getting a 4K at the end of it when they had so much pressure, I think is pretty good for Xeno. Like it was looking really, really dire at the beginning of the game. Like we were kind of considering like, is that camp on Marco, like was that really the best choice because the gens were flying, but it ended up slowing down towards the end, and Xeno did manage to get a snowball, and even though all gens did pop, it will be a 4K, and that's something they're gonna have to remember when we play the next set.
Yeah, it will be an interesting answer coming out from Team Elysium on the survivor side. Probably it's going to be Zaka taking the responsibility on the Dark Lord. So yeah, we are staying hyped, ladies and gentlemen. We will have to see how it's continuing here in this very close game between Praxis and Elysium. It was 3 seconds towards that end when we had the attempt from Xeno to get the pain rest just in time to stop the final generator. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a very quick break while we are setting up the next lobby. We'll see you in just a moment. Gentlemen, welcome back. I will admit something. It was supposed to be Heather's intro here, the first intro. And while we were loading in, I just counted 3, 2, 1 like the producer usually does, and it prompted her on doing the intro. I kind of baited her successfully, and now I'm also calling her out, which is not very nice. And now she doesn't want to do intros anymore for a good reason, I guess. Yeah, we lost Heather on the intros, unfortunately, and Pedro is experiencing the same 2-tap that we have seen in the previous trial. Bolitar, aka Ward, with an absolute crazy early game coming into this trial.
I think a basement hook for Dark Lord this early is like pretty strong. Like he has a very strong kit to allow people to like not get out of the basement if he wants to camp around there. So that's going to be really, really exciting. We do see another survivor being found. This is Zynox. We're seeing Zynox on the survivor side this time. Looks like Ward is not taking that, and he is going to be going back, teleporting to Shank. He does not want Pedro to get out of there. But we do see Xeno on a gen. It's looking like almost 80%, and that will probably be the first gen to pop unless Ward can get there in time. Finds Silhey, has a lot of pressure, has a lot of survivors on the go right now, knows exactly where like most of them are. It's looking really good for him, but he just really doesn't want to give up that basement hook. He does not want anyone to come in and save Pedro. He's got the same thinking process as Xeno did last game, and I don't blame him for that, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you here. And when we talk about the process of how this game is going, we see this very quick 2-tap, but a survivor team that shows a lot of resistance to it. On top of that, we have the Undying and Ruin removed from the trial early on. So basically, we are now playing with 2 perks, with the Pain Resonance and the Eruption. Interesting also, we see a repetition of the Pain Res not really coming into clutch yet, because we had a survivor hooked in the basement. That survivor went into second stage. So far, there's not too much going on here in the perk department.
Yeah, I mean, same as last game, really, but it's going to be a little bit of a mind game here. Who's going to drop the pallet? Who's going to get the injure here? Looks like Pedro might be out of the game already. A 3v1 already. This is looking like a much stronger start than when Xeno was trying to tunnel out at the beginning. We will get a pain res for the... We're not going to miss out, okay? We're going to get a pain res on Pedro in the end, but Pedro is going to be out of the game, and there is 4 gens left. The way the survivors need to win this is they need to get all the gens done and have at least 1 survivor escape. But with a 3v1 now and 4 gens to go and 1 escape needed, it's looking pretty hard. I have to say, it's looking pretty hard, and Ward was already found the scratch marks of another survivor. Finds Xeno here, is going to enter chase, or is he going to leave and check on the gens? The gens is his priority, honestly. So finds another survivor, doesn't quite manage to stealth out there. Zynox taking chase. We need those gens to get done if we're those survivors. Silhey is almost completing the second generator. Misses the Hellfire on Zynox. Here we've got a trusty Z-Wall here. You know, doesn't want to take it. Doesn't want to take it. Goes to a pallet. Will he get to another resource. It's looking pretty good for Zynox here. I think he's got a pallet to work with. He does. It's looking good.
It's looking good.
Never mind. I've taken your curse.
Yeah, now you know how caster cursing feels. Zynox going down here. It took a little bit of time after we got Pedro removed from the trial. Silhey and Xeno are healthy, so we definitely have a little bit on the Survivor side to work with. It will take a little bit to get the 2 stages. The Survivor already rotating in. Instant rescue. Xeno with an injury, trying to confuse the killer or sacrificing himself. Not entirely sure, but that was definitely a very quick and unfortunate down. And Zynox is immediately in the chase again, does manage to get the stun here onto Ward, aka Boleta. Double jump with the Wolfie. Unfortunately, we only get a headache, not a down with the Wolf. And that's going to be the next pallet in reach. Next stun coming out. Zynox earning enough time for Xeno to be picked up. So this plan that looked really risky and really unsafe actually turned into something successful here. Now Zynox going down, but Zynox definitely did a lot of work for his team there.
Yeah, really nice hellfire there. I also said to myself while you were making those jokes that I'm actually not going to laugh at your jokes anymore because you did that to me in the loading screen. So find someone else to laugh at your jokes. I'm done, okay? No, I'm kidding. Zynox is in the basement. It's looking like that snowball over there was like, it was looking really bad for Team Elysium, but they've managed to get themselves back on their feet. Xeno got up from the floor, but they do find them in basement. This is the scenario I was not wanting to see because it's going to be so hard for Zynox to get out of this basement. He can just hold this hellfire. There we go. Zynox, looks like Zynox might be out the game, and we're looking at a 2v1 with 3 gens left. It's really not looking good, but if you're Ward, if you're Praxis, it's looking great.
Yeah, Praxis took the energy from the second set from the Plague and is turning it into an absolute crazy performance at the moment. And if they take this set number 4, so their match point is the set that Praxis selected. It is again the Spirit, so both teams will feel confident, but basically the match point lays on the selection of Praxis here. However, to get that out of the way, we do need to catch these 2 survivors that are remaining in the trial, Silhey and Xeno, and we need to make sure that they do not get outs here. Once all the generators are repaired, they could also escape through the hatch. The hatch then counts. So that will definitely help a little bit. Xeno doing a very good job here around the broken bus section. We hear the vault. That's going to be the down now. Eruption kicking in, and we do see Silhey running away. It's not looking good for Team Elysium.
No, but it's looking great for Praxis. And as you said, this was Elysium's pick. And so then the next one that we go to is going to be Spirit. It was Praxis' pick. That is really great news for Praxis. And like we said at the beginning with that Wraith set, it wasn't a strong start, but like I said, there's 4 more sets to go, and you can see how much and how quickly it can turn around. There's the down on Silhey. That is a 4K3. We did not get the outs that we needed on Elysium, but we do go into the Spirit set. And yeah, that was a really crazy result for this. I feel like I was definitely ready to see 5 gens get popped and see that end game where they're trying to get a survivor out. Like I was so ready. Like I really thought it was going to happen. But Ward just absolutely dominated with Dark Lord there. Like he did a great job.
Yeah, I think Ward is going to receive some very kind words from his team later for carrying this out. Because this is at the perfect timing also, right? We talked about it. We have 1-1 in this best of 5, or we had 1-1, which basically sets the game back to 0. Then you play it as a normal best of 3. And when you have only 3 sets remaining, you do not have too many recovery chances. So you really want to make sure that you take the next set, that you take the Dark Lord to be in the advantage in case something goes wrong. on the spirit set that is coming in, and Ward just did such a good job for his team. Praxis is looking strong, Elysium in the disadvantage, and now, as we talked about it, Praxis also selected the spirit here. They will open as the spirit, so Elysium better gets their survivor team together and set themselves up for a very good trial. Otherwise, Praxis might pull the match point.
Yeah, I'm very excited to see the Spirit set. Spirit is literally my Pookie. Like, I love Spirit, and I think that she's so fun to see in comp setting as well. I think, I don't know, like, I think she's just so strong, but the way that she excels is like more in like 3v1 situations. So I expect to see that be kind of like the priority here when they play Spirit. They're gonna like really try and get that tunnel out early on, and what is really important is getting that quick down before any gen pressure can come in. So it's really like fun, action-packed, like fast-paced gameplay with Spirit, and I'm very excited, and I think both of these teams are gonna play really, really well.
They definitely will, and we can probably also be prepared for a trial that might come down again to 3 seconds of a pain res hook to just one stage, something like a comeback mid-game trial. It will be super close, and Zaka is a super experienced spirit, so it will be a very close game overall.
Yeah, and if you are Elysium right now, you know, like, you have to win this set. If you don't win this set, like, that's the best of 5 gone, right? So there's a lot of pressure, but sometimes, like, you know, pressure can help you or it can hinder you. And I'm very excited to see, like, which way that's going to spin this time.
Yeah, the time is something that is chasing us over and over here in this trial, right? Like a few seconds here, a few seconds there. Who can stay a little bit longer alive on this filler palette? Who can be a little bit better with the strategy around the 3-gen? Who can strike 10 to 15 seconds earlier when we talk about the first down? This is a match where we talk about some seconds, even though some of the results look very clear. Sometimes, obviously, games turn into a dynamic, and then it's going downhill. The killer is just getting stronger and stronger with every additional hook stage. And then at the end, the results might really differ, but when you look deeper into it, it was just 1 or 2 key elements during the game that caused this performance that looks like an absolute dominance or an absolute confidence from the survivor team. So we will be probably looking forward to a few phases that make a key difference here, because more difference is not like visible between these two teams. One mind game more on the survivor side, one time you read your opponent better, might already decide everything.
Yeah, I think also with Spirit, sometimes it's so hard to get out of like a sticky situation. Like, sometimes it's really just 50-50. But we know that some of these players are really good at 50-50s. We've seen that. We saw Dan earlier. That was amazing. I hope to see more of that soon. But yeah, I think the gameplay that you see on like Spirit has to be really, both from the survivors and the killers, have to be really like calculated as well. One thing that I find really interesting about Spirit is like how much you have to prioritize hook placements, because although that she has a power is somewhat mobility, she's actually a really slow killer in comparison to most. And it means that you really, really have to make sure that you are hooking exactly where you want those survivors to be, so you can defend the gens and defend the survivor on the hook as well. And if you don't manage, so what the survivors need to do is they need to run the killer away from where the gens are being done, because she's going to have a really, really hard time getting back, and she's going to want to use her phase to get back. But then by the time she gets back, she's not going to have any phase left to chase some survivors off the gens, right? So it's really, really interesting gameplay from both sides, and it's really key to note that, especially when you are playing the person playing Spirit. Yeah, I just think it's really interesting.
Yeah, it's basically all about the spirit of the game, right? And you need to especially have the right spirit when playing against the spirit, because if the spirit against the spirit is not spiriting, then how will you deal with the spirit without the spirit?
Daya, you're draining my spirit.
See, and this was the perfect intro for this trial now. Well done there. Zaka the Monster, ladies and gentlemen. He earned this name throughout the years, and I'm pretty sure that he's looking forward to taking it home for Team Praxis. They are on the match point here, up by a set point against Ivan, Zeno, Zynox, and Pedro on the side of Team Elysium. Scouting the area a little bit. We have the agitation again, so we can tell our Spirit also trying to play around a good 3-gen setup, constantly getting the hooks in that area, and especially as the Spirit that should get quite some downs chained together, you can really benefit from choosing the hook location. The rest of the build, pretty standard, I would say. Corrupt Intervention, Eruption, and Painless is something that is basically around in this game for quite some trials already, but so far it's quiet. We finally found Ivan for the first chase here.
What Zaka was doing there was trying to see if he could catch anyone who was crossing up, because there's such a bottleneck on this map. And we can see the gen spread on this map. You see right there, the 4 gens at the top. Of course, he does not want to chase in the Corrupt. He's going back to this 4 gen at the top. It's really, really hard when you load in a Survivor and you see those. And he did not want to take that chase down there with Ivan. He wanted to go back up and defend his gens, because he does not want to lose any of these gens, because this is a free win if he can defend all 4 gens at the top. And he finds Zynox and he gets the hit, and of course Zynox is running as far away from that 4 gen as humanly possible, but Spirit is very, very good at catching up quickly with her phase. But it won't be enough for Zaka. Manages to get the down. That is Corrupt over, but Zaka has managed to get the down on Zynox, and will definitely be taking a Pain Res hook here. We have the agitation, but the agitation is not going to get us all the way back up to the 4 gen. But it looks like there's enough time, there's not enough gen progress here for Zaka to be worried. But it was perfectly played by Zynox there.
Yeah, with how careful they played at the beginning, it also basically means that they didn't instantly jump on these generators, right? They didn't like take too much risk. They didn't want to jump into the attention and the POV of the Spirit too early. So Zaka gained a little bit of time here with the Pain Res, a little bit of a setback, and now in best case you do find a Survivor that you can down up here on the top side, and that you can also hook inside of your generator setup, especially with the agitation. So Pedro better getting out of this area here, otherwise Zaka gets exactly what he's working for, and we do not make it towards the bottleneck. We go down into the pallet here, emoting to avoid the backflip, and that prompts Zaka to obviously expect a pallet save coming through. That is Zeno getting found right here. That's going to be the injury for another Survivor, going back towards Pedro here, and that has potential. Next Survivor, I believe, coming in there. We saw a little bit of scratch marks around the bus. Pedro crawling away, so we actually have our Pain Res hook now on the side where we want to defend the generators, and that is a huge step for Zaka.
That is really, really great for Zaka. I would be very scared if I was on the Survivor team right now, but they look like they're powering through. They're still managing to keep pressure on this gen, very much so. It doesn't look like Zaka is very interested. He's looking for the rotation. He does not want to let that rotation in. He can see that the gen is being worked on behind him, and he said, I don't care. I don't want you to rotate up and get this unhook. I need this hook with my gen so I can defend all of it, and I do not blame him. He's playing it really, really well. It's so unfortunate that Pedro managed to go down, but once you get M1'd with Spirit, it's so hard for you to make distance if she has her phase. It's very, very impossible. It's very likely you're going to get 2-tapped unless you have very strong resources or some kind of exhaustion perk that's going to allow you to get down to that side of the map. Zaka is so comfortable where he is right now, and he's looking in that area to try and see if he can catch any rotations up from the bottom side. But if you're the Survivors, you'll really want to be getting gens done right now for best win con.
Yeah, generators done is really important. We do not have a single never mind, cast a blessing. We have the first generator done, which is still something though that you can be worried about, because we are quite some time into the trial now. We have Pedro going into the second stage, so this also tells us that the Survivors are prioritizing the generators and the repair progress, so you really want to see this impact positively for your survivor side, and you want to feel that you get something done on the generator department. Interesting to see that someone is working behind the main building, so maybe that is supposed to be the mind game here, letting a survivor hang to kind of leave Zaka with the feeling of safety, and then secretly sneaking some progress into the 4gen. However, Zaka now checked quickly on the main building, and the progress was not too significant here. Xeno doing a totem in the distance for the inner healing, but we might lose Pedro, and we are still on 4 generators remaining. That is some difficult news for Team Elysium.
I was going to say, you really don't want to be in a 3v1 situation against Spirit, especially with this gen spread. So they have gone in, and Ivan went to go and get the save. Pedro is trying to make it very, very far down the end of the map so they can maybe pick up Ivan, prevent the hook being in the 4gen. There was a 4 people there from Xeno. Very good plays here. Looks like Zaka is struggling to hear. I wonder if that was on purpose. I honestly don't know. But now Zaka has been pulled down to the other side of the map. There might be a lot of gen progress going on up the top. Has lost the tunnel out on Pedro. And that is really, really great news for the survivors.
It really is, and the good news is even getting backed up by a second generator being completed in the distance. Xeno going to be our next hook, second stage coming in, so we have 2 tunnel out targets now, Pedro and Xeno. We also have a pain res remaining onto Ivan for a little bit of regression. Zaka expects more survivor to be around here in this area, but doesn't want to search for too long, because you might otherwise hand over the unhook for free. Firecracker coming out, reading the vault of Zynox there, and that is a tag into the back. Really well done by Zaka, back to 2 injuries next to the hooked survivor here. And we basically play the same game again. Will we get an unhook onto Xeno? Technically, Pedro is the only survivor that can rotate. Okay, now Ivan can rotate in as well after the reset came through. But Zaka also knows now they didn't work on the generators too much because they went for the reset. He is in a good position since he has his generator set up around. He will get another trade. So things are still working out for Zaka here.
Yeah, I think this could really go either way. Like, I think both sides are playing it absolutely perfectly. Like, they're doing exactly what they need to be doing, and they're like pushing and pulling on every end. And there goes, that is the tunnel out for Zaka. Zaka is very, very happy with this. Doesn't matter where he is hooked, just wants to get him out the game and get back to where the gens are being progressed. 3v1 against the Spirit, but it's okay because they just popped the gen in Zaka's face. That's great news for the survivors. Not great news for Zaka, but Zaka still has so much pressure to work with. But it looks like a lot of the gens might be towards the top side of the map now. And will Zaka keep this chase down here? Will he want to get the down, maybe get a Xeno out, Pedro out of the game as well? A 2v1 is going to be a lot harder than a 3v1 for the survivors.
Pedro is saying goodbye next to Xeno. And yeah, that increases the difficulty significantly. We are once again on just 2 survivors who have to carry out the responsibility of getting 2 generators out of the way. The hatch is not an option at the moment. We would need to get all the generators out of the way. We still have our wonderful generator set up here on the top side. They might have a chance getting the generator at the bottom side repaired all the way on the other side, because Zaka needs to waste some time traveling down there. If they time this perfectly with good communication, they can kind of jump on the generator over here, and then when Zaka is moving away, you jump on the other generator, and you basically make the most out of the 2 survivors that you have available. But it will be a tough task. Yeah. Not looking great. The chances are decreasing for our survivor team.
Yeah, but I think if you're the survivors, like, the best thing that you can do right now is probably work like the 2 furthest generators away from each other and just see. I think it's going to be pretty hard for 2 survivors to be able to get 2 gens done. I don't know. It's possible, but I don't know. So I think the best thing they can do is have a good chase now and work far away gens from the chase and maybe try and make it a 4K1. I think that's a really good win con to work for. But Spirit's chase is just... Oh, into the basement. Are we trying to waste time down here? I think it seems like. I mean, I can understand it. We've seen this already. There is eruption on that gen over there. No aura, so maybe there was some good communication there from the survivors, or maybe Ivan is on a different gen. We're going to have to see.
Hopefully Ivan is on a different gen, because getting that 4th generator out of the way, enabling the 3-gen strategy for your killer would be so important, but we do get found. And that is now going to be exactly what Praxis wants to see for their match point. They need 4 generators done in the next trial, which basically means they can ignore a 3-gen setup on the survivor side. They can completely ignore it because they only need 4 generators done. That is an incredible win condition for Praxis, especially since they are on match point right now.
I'm kind of confused about the basement play there. I'm wondering, like, oh, okay, so the basement must have been, you know, a ploy to get some generator progress done. Like, surely Ivan is on the furthest generator, so, you know, the Spirit is going to have to, you know, take someone out, go down to the basement, take them out the locker, spend all that time, waste all that time. But then we switch back to Ivan, and Ivan's just standing in mid, and like there must have been a game plan here, and I'm missing it. But I was very shocked to see that.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Yeah, losing my thought there for a second. Diving into my analytical mind, or trying to at least. I have to agree with you, because we have also seen throughout this best of 5, right? We have seen this scenario multiple times, unfortunately, for Elysium, that something today doesn't fully click together on the survivor side, that we lose someone early, paired with the generators are not going quick enough, and then things are basically spiraling down in a dynamic. But it's not the first set that ended like this.
No, it's not. And I think if you're Praxis, you're feeling really great right now. And I think they have a very, very beatable win con here, and then they take the whole, you know, matchup, and you're feeling really great. But obviously, you still have to meet that win con. It's still hard, you know. It's not over. But Elysium have been struggling a little bit, and Praxis, maybe they've met their maker, or whatever the saying is, right? But it's been such a joy to watch. Like, I think it's been like not as expected. And I think that's been really entertaining.
And when we talk about the entertainment factor, if we do see Obi pulling this for Elysium, that would be entertainment peak. Because if we want a straight win, we would need a 4K with so many generators remaining, since we have just seen since we're now on the win con, that we can actually ignore a 3-gen setup, because we only need 4 generators to win. We basically needed a 4K with 3 gens still standing to win this. 4K2 to go for a tie. 4K1 isn't even enough here. That is a crazy win condition, a crazy difficult one when we talk about the killer. But if Obi manages to pull that, and we then look at a 2-2 score overall, then this is going to be one of the wildest tiebreakers we had in a while. And then it's completely open, because then we open up with Elysium being confident, then Praxis taking it away from them to just make an absolute surprise comeback, and then into the tiebreaker is then basically everyone's game. So I don't want to be in the shoes of Obi at the moment. I absolutely don't. Joke for the Germans. I not only want to be in the shoes of Obi, I also don't want to be in the shoes of Bauhaus or Hagebaumarkt. But shout out to everyone who understood this joke.
I have to say, I don't.
Yeah.
Am I too?
To you.
Am I too Gen Z?
No, you need to be a German to understand it.
Okay, yeah, don't. I'm definitely not German.
Exclamation mark English. But Obi, if he does that, he's going to be a legend in DBDLeague for a while. That's for sure.
I mean, I do think Obi can do it. Like, I've seen Obi on Spirit. I think it's possible, and it's not gonna like stop him from being nervous. But I also do have to say that I would love a Spirit tiebreaker because I love to see more Spirit gameplay. So listen, if you want to tie right now, Obi, just feel free. Okay.
Yeah, I would absolutely be in there. This new Armageddon tiebreaker, we have seen it unfortunately only 2 times so far in the Winter Circuit. It seems to be well taken by our viewers as well. Happy invitation, by the way, exclamation mark Discord to join the DBDLeague community. We have a feedback hub in our Discord server. So if you have any thoughts, opinions, maybe you even have a crazy idea to improve the system. Maybe you have an insane tiebreaker idea that you always wanted to see and say, hey, the DBDLeague team should definitely be aware of my idea. Maybe you want to consider it. Happy invitation, exclamation mark Discord, feedback hub. Discuss your idea with others. Let us know what you think about the new Armageddon tiebreaker with just 1 trial. But I would definitely like to see it as well here. And it would really suit the character of this best of 5 as well, right? Now in set 4, having a tiebreaker and a very close one in best case, that would just suit this game so much.
I think a few people are going to take that invitation. They're going to join that Discord server and they're going to say, okay, I have some feedback, less 6-7 jokes from Dyer, I think. But you can't use it for that, as though we're all thinking it. But it's okay. You can't do that. We're never going to stop him.
It's very kind that at least you are not stopping me.
I have no control here.
Others would, absolutely. But at least you don't. We can also tell... the Survivor team did some lengthy discussion there about the game plan. They are now readied up, but they used their lobby time to the absolute extent in order to get the game plan ready and good to go. Because we need to keep in mind, as good as it sounds once again, that we can ignore a 3-gen, that we just need 4 generators out of the way. In a Spirit game, things can go wrong, and they can go wrong really, really fast. When something goes wrong against Evan, it's not too bad, right? You just run into the next corner, you waste a little bit of time in your next chase, you're basically able to recover. But if something goes wrong on the Spirit, and she faces a few good times, getting some injuries, chaining some injuries and downs together potentially, you will have a tricky time.
I feel like there might be a few new people in the chat who are like, who the hell is Evan? If you're a new player, you don't know who Evan is. That is the first name of the trapper. But you can't say that because if you get someone in the basement, that's a completely different snowball. But anyway, we are loading in. It is Obi on the Spirit. I'm very excited to see this. We see Corrupt, we see Pain Res, we see Eruption, we see Agi, a very, very, very common build, very common for the Spirit. And you see Obi trying to check for crosses because you know that the survivors are going to spawn down here opposite to you in the Corrupt. Wants to stop them from crossing up. If you can see what Obi is doing right now, he is like refreshing his power ever so slightly. And it's because it will allow him to like kind of detect survivors because there's like kind of like a sparkle kind of animation when I don't know how to describe it, but it's easy to see survivors in that way. And you see Obi is finding someone already, found Zaka, gonna take chase in the generators that he wants to defend. This is good. Can he get a quick down?
Yeah, in the middle of the active generators. Oh, Zaka, take that one. We're throwing the sword away into the back of Zaka. Very important and good first injury. And yeah, we see it here very beautifully. Corrupt is all the way on the bottom side. So we're chasing in the active generators. Zaka and Marcos injured now. And we got an information from Toby. Shout out to our tournament analyst, Toby. it happened that Obi 4K'd with the 2 generators standing last year, though, against Team Jinx, but he did make it happen in the past and against a stronger team as well. So maybe he will be able to do that as well. Unfortunately, though, we had such a strong start with the 2 injuries here. He wasn't able to follow up on them.
No, and already managed to heal up on one of them. Saka is still injured. Self-care botany. We've seen a lot of that. We've seen a lot of that lately, and it allows him to do that and everyone else to be on gens. So it's kind of strong. But we have Ward taking chase with the Spirit right now at Shack, taking away from the gens at the top. We already see Corrupt is over. Looks like Ward is doing the best that he can to keep the Spirit as far away from the gens as possible, literally corner teching as much as possible. And like I said earlier, it's exactly what you want to do against Spirit, because Spirit's mobility, although she's fast in phase, she can literally not get very far without using her power. And then by the time she gets there, there's so much gen progress, and then she doesn't have her power anymore. And you can see that here. They're working on gens. Zaka has almost 50% on a gen here. Marcos looks like he's stealthing in a locker, probably waiting to get the save on Ward as Obi crosses back up to the top.
So far, definitely like the signal out there that Elysium is trying the hardest to make this happen. We need to keep it in mind. Obi is not just playing Spirit. He's playing Spirit with an incredibly difficult win condition. You need to constantly keep the generators in mind. You might even check more often on a generator than usual, just because the generator number is so important. Again, the reminder, a 4K2 would equal a tie, even though it's usually a very incredible result. So we'll have to see how this is going to continue. And next phase coming out, Firecracker not successful, but the Vault is coming through. Zaka with a beautiful mind game here, making sure that he's staying alive, holding W away. Next mind game around the pallet here. And again successful. Zaka on the grind. This is perfect for our Survivor team.
Amazing there. I also would like to argue that maybe, although didn't get the blind with the Firecracker, did definitely stop Obi from being able to hear as much as if there was no Firecracker, but gets the down on Zaka. This can be a pain res if she can get there in time. Maybe can stop V1 from getting this gen done in time and then making it to the top of the map to prevent this gen being done. But will they make it to a pain res for Zaka in time? I'm not sure. It looks like the gen doesn't quite pop. Will Spirit be able to get over here in time before it pops? Will she even know that this gen is being worked on?
Yeah, potentially some sneaky strategy coming out here. We'll have to see if Obi keeps track of everything. So far, 2 generators are completed. We have a few stages. And it looked so good in the early game, right? We came into this trial, we got 2 injuries immediately, and then we weren't able to follow up on that. And then Zaka with his long chase that happened with these beautiful mind games, able to gain the Survivor team the time to go for the resets, to go almost freely for that second generator. We see Zaka with the heal in the distance. So we'll have to see if Marcos is staying alive a little bit longer. The answer is no, unfortunately. But Obi is now with the responsibility to make a comeback here. That is not, like, the pressure is not on the Survivor side at the moment. Our killer needs to get back into the game and needs to keep chaining these hits and downs together if he wants to make sure that they don't get 4 generators out of the way.
Yeah, I mean, you need a 4K at 3. And it's looking really rough right now, but Obi is checking around for stealth. Marcos had Deli, it seems. Deli, oh no, got saved, has second wind. I see. Well, that's unfortunate, but Obi is going to need to get some downs, and he's going to need to get them quickly because the gens are flying. They're flying. This is not looking good for Obi and his team. And Marcos there, the second win value has come in. He's already healed up. Obi needs some pressure, and he needs it now. Everyone is healthy. It's going to be hard to track them. Finds a gen with a lot of pressure on. Oh my gosh, it's looking really, really rough for Obi right now.
And we are back on all 4 survivors healthy against this Spirit. That is something that we very rarely see, especially during the mid game, and especially when a strong Spirit is playing here. This survivor team is showing so much resilience against the constant phases and injuries that we have coming out from Obi. He's trying so hard. It is almost sad to see how that good early game didn't lead to more pressure. Ward taking an injury here though. We need some good mind games now on the survivor side that might even bring us closer to sealing the deal, winning the match point. Second pallet close by. That's going to be the attempt of a swing. Difficult mind game with the seawall here. The Lithe helping though. We do make it back towards the standing filler pallet. And there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Generator number 4. They made it happen. Praxis pulling the set against Elysium here. What a game today from them. What a great showing. And with their ticket to the playoffs here. Wonderful play by the team.
All gens popping. It wasn't even just like a close win con or anything. They just dropped all 3 of those gens there so quickly in the span of few minutes. Like if you're Obi, you're thinking, where did my gens go? And that is amazing for Praxis. And they played so incredibly well. And when we think back to that Wraith game, that feels like light years ago. And we thought, oh no, Praxis, that wasn't looking good. And we said, no, but it's possible, you can bring it back. And look what they did. They did absolutely amazingly. And Elysium played so well as well. They did amazing, but unfortunately, Praxis just took the cake.
Not what we expected, I would say, and I'm speaking for also a lot of people in the community potentially, because Elysium is considered the strongest teams together with Invictus, and that is definitely a surprise today. Though we talked a little bit about it, something didn't click today on the side of Elysium, especially when we look on the survivor side. Praxis was more consistent overall, I would say. They were playing more aggressively, they were playing beautifully together, and it's great to see that this is getting rewarded here. Praxis joining Invictus for the playoffs. They now have 2 weekends break. So Invictus and Praxis can kind of chill watching the other teams fighting for the playoffs ticket. They can prepare. They can study their opponents, and then they can join into the double elimination bracket at the end of February here. So congratulations to Praxis, and mini congratulations to you. Maybe you're still pretty new on the casting desk in DBDL today with the best of 5. I think you did incredible as always. Thank you so much for casting with me. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you so much. I always have fun. Thank you.
And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, we are closing it for today. Thank you for sticking with us for more than 8 hours on this very long day, and that obviously leads to a very special shout out of our producer of today, that is Day Rolog here, grinding for more than 8 hours together with our match officials and the Twitch moderators. So big shout out to everyone behind the scenes for making DBDLeague possible, and then obviously to you guys as well, coming around here every weekend and enjoying the matches with us. We can host a tournament and we can put a bracket together, we can design some scenes and so on, but if no one would come around to watch the tournament, it would be pretty senseless. So thank you so much for making DBDLeague what it is. We will have some great news very soon, talking about the LAN and the ticket pre-sale as well, so stay tuned. I would highly recommend to hit !Discord in chat to join the community, because you definitely don't want to miss the news. So make sure you're joining us tonight. We'll see you on Friday again with a couple of matches, because we have more decisions to do next weekend regarding the playoff tickets, as well as eliminating some teams from the tournament. Unfortunately, someone needs to go home. With that being said, have a great time. We'll also see you tomorrow for the 2 remaining games. And yeah, stay healthy, and don't let anyone ruin your mood. Take care.